So this week we will be discussing whole numbers. Whole numbers are numbers starting from 0 and going upward. It is not numbers that are decimal or fraction numbers. It's only whole numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. And also no negative numbers like -3. First thing we'll be discussing is place values. So place values is the place of that number. So here we have the number 859,421. The 1 is obviously a unit. 2 is in the place of tens. 4 is in the place of hundreds. 9 is in the place of thousands. 5 is in the place of 10,000s. 8 is in the place of 100,000s. Okay, first let's have a look at the question, what is in between 24 and 36? Okay, so if you get a question like this, they mean what whole number is exactly in the middle of these two numbers. So let's just draw a picture for ourselves to make it more clear. And in between, I wrote down all the numbers that are in between 24 and 36. Okay, I counted the numbers. There's 11 numbers between 24 and 36. And now, moving from the outside in, I am going to check what number is exactly in the middle, and that is 30. So, if you get the question, what is in between 24 and 36? That would be 30, exactly in the middle of those two numbers. The next question I want to discuss with you is if they give you a couple of numbers and you have to decide whether it's a whole number or not a whole number. Now remember, I said that a whole number is a number starting from 0 and going upwards. No negative numbers, no fractions, and no decimals. So 2 obviously is a whole number, so is 0. 3/4 is a fraction, so that is not a whole number. Okay, 2,14 is also a decimal, and that is also not a whole number. Then we go to the number -15. Remember, I said no negative numbers, so that's not a whole number. 14/1. Now, think very carefully about this. If I say 14 divided by 1, and that's what a fraction is a division, then you would get the answer 14. Because 1 goes into 14 times. And is 14 a whole number? Yes, it is. The next one, number patterns. So they'll give you a couple of numbers in a number pattern and leave some digits open. Okay, and you have to figure out what goes there. So here we can see between 3 and 6, there's 3. So every time they're adding 3. So it's going to be 3, 6, 9, 12 plus 3, 15. So you're just adding 3 in that number pattern. Now we see that every time they're subtracting 5. So we're counting backwards in 5. So it's 20, 15, 10, 5. The next one we'll see they're subtracting 4 every time. So we're counting backwards in 4. So it's going to be 44, 40, minus 4 gives me 36, minus 4 gives me 32, minus 4 gives me 28. The next number, you can't really see from the first two digits how many they're adding every time. So you go to the next two digits that are next to each other. That's 150 and 175. So now have a look. Do you see that they're increasing by 25 each time? So you're just going to add 25 to 100, which gives you 125. Add 25 again, 150, 175, and then that ends up being 200 at the end. Now, next one, they'll ask you to arrange in descending or in ascending order. Now, descending order is from big to small. Think of it like this. When you descend from a mountain, you'll go from the top down to the ground. Ascending, you can remember as follows. Ascending, think of the big A. So when we think of the A, think of the first line going from small to big. Okay, so here you would order numbers from small to big. So again, descending order is from big to small, ascending order is from small to big. Sometimes you'll get a question like this: make the largest number, and then they'll give you digits. So with those digits, you need to make the largest number possible. Sometimes they'll ask for the smallest number, but in this case, let's keep it largest. Okay, so just go look for the largest number that you see there, which is 9. The next one would be 6. The next one would be then 5. The one that comes after 5 is 3. Okay, so just write that down. And then 2 and 1. Okay, so my new number is now 965,321. Sometimes they'll ask for the number name of that number. So you'll have to write physically in words what the number is. So in this case, write 965,321 in words, exactly like that. And remember, spelling is very important. If you do not know the spelling of your numbers, please go practice it. Ask your mom to help you with it. Make sure that you know all the numbers and how to spell them. Okay, now we need to make clear what the difference is between place value and numerical value. So place value is the physical place of a number, the units, tens, hundreds, and so forth. The numerical value is what is the number value of that number in a digit. So the place value of 4 in this case would be hundreds, 3 is tens, and 2 is units. Do you see that? The numerical value of 4 is 400. So it's in the hundreds place. Just remember that 100 has 2 zeros. So it's the 4 and 2 zeros. Same with the 3. That's 30. It's in the tens place. And a 10 has 1 0. So just a 3 and 1 0. And then the units 2. Remember, a unit has no zeros, so it's just 2. 3 methods for expanded notation. So expanded notation, you're basically expanding the number. The first method would be writing the digits as place values. So the digit 2 would be 2,000 plus 4 is 400s plus 6 would be 6 tens because it's in the tens place. 8 would be 8 units. Okay. Method 2 is writing the numerical value and multiplying each digit with that numerical value. So in this case 2 would be multiplied with 1,000. Put that in brackets because we need to know that 2 times 1,000 needs to be calculated first. Then you say plus 4 times 100 because 4 is in the hundreds place. Plus 6 times 10 because 6 is in the tens place. Plus 8 times 1. Remember, unit is essentially just 1. Third method is skipping the multiplication step and just writing down the answer as is. It's 2,000 plus 400 plus 80 plus 60 plus 8. Okay. Just remember that all of these methods should end up giving you the same answer every time. If they ask you a question like this, 10,000 more than 346,240, first write down the number and then write down the 10,000 underneath that number to add it. Okay, just remember that all the units need to be underneath each other. All the tens, all the hundreds, all the thousands, all the 10,000s, and all the 100,000s all need to be written underneath each other. And remember, 10,000 is in the 10,000s place. That 1 is in the 10,000s place. Okay, now just add all the units. Remember, we start adding the units first. So 4 plus 0 gives me 4. 1 plus 0 gives me 1. 2 plus 0 gives me 2. 6 plus 0 gives me 6. And then 4 plus 1 gives me 5. So that's where it becomes more, or it increases. It's at the 10,000s place. If they ask you 10,000 less than 346,214, do the same thing. Write down the two numbers underneath each other, units under units, tens under tens, and so forth. Then you start subtracting those two numbers. So I would say 4 minus 0 is 4, 1 minus 0 is 1, 2 minus 0 is 2, 6 minus 0 is 6, but 4 minus 1 is 3, and 3 minus 0 stays 3. So that's your new number. That's 10,000 less than 346,214. Okay, just a couple of sums that you need to know how to do. If they give you a question like this, remember to write all the units underneath each other, all the tens, all the hundreds, and all the thousands. This is very important, otherwise you might get confused and your answer would essentially be incorrect. So now I just say 8 plus 2, 10. The 0 I write down and the 10 I take over to the tens place. 2 plus 0 plus that 1 gives me again 10. So I write down the 0 and the tens I take over to the hundreds place. 8 plus 1 plus 5, that gives me 14. The 4 I write down, the tens I carry over. And 6 plus 1 gives me 7. So that answers 7,400. Now I'm going to subtract. So I say 3 minus 1 is 2, 9 minus 8 is also 1, 6 minus 2 is 4, and 3 minus 0 stays 3. Okay, but what if this happens? 1 minus 3 can't. You'll get a negative number. So in this case, we can't subtract those two. So we go borrow 1 at your friend. Okay, so which is the 1's friend? Right, the one right next to it. There. So that would be 8. We go borrow 1. If we borrow 1 from 8, it becomes 7. We take that 1, put it at 1, that becomes 11. So now I can say 11 minus 3 is 8. Okay, so now I'm stuck again with the same dilemma. 7 minus 9 can't. So I need to go borrow at its friend, 2. I'm going to borrow 1, it becomes 1. And I take that 1 that I borrowed and put it next to the 7. It now becomes 17 minus 9. And 17 minus 9 definitely can be subtracted. That gives me 6. Okay, so again, same dilemma, 1 minus 6 can't. So I'm going to go borrow at its friend. I'm going to borrow from the 3, so it becomes 2. And that 1 that I borrowed, I'm going to put next to the 1 I have already. And then it becomes 11, and 11 minus 6 is 5. And then 2 minus 0 stays 2.